My favorite is Tales from the Crypt. I don't know if you've ever seen the episode and All Through the House. To me, it's the perfect iteration of the maniac Santa Claus, which is the best.
Need a little holiday feel. Shall I scare up the man who framed Roger Rabbit?
The killer is here!
You asked for it. You got it.
Sort of filling that void of slashers that we loved in the 80s.
Chapter 1, All Through the House. So the film starts with what is clearly an homage to the Tales from the Crypt story, All Through the House. There's actually 3 versions of it, a comic book version, a movie version, and of course the 1990s TV version, which is personally my favorite. There are minor differences, but generally speaking, they all have like the same overall storyline. A middle-aged woman who is very dissatisfied with her husband decides that she's going to kill her husband.
I said, let me have it.
In one version, I think it's with an axe. With another one, I think it's maybe poison. But the guy doesn't have it coming, but she's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm getting rid of him. And she does it on Christmas Eve night. The daughter comes downstairs looking for the parents, looking for Santa Claus, and she kind of gets brushed back to her room because she has to get rid of the body before the daughter can figure out what's happened. Meanwhile, on the radio, there is a police report of a escaped convict who is out on the loose dressed as Santa Claus. And she hears it a little bit, but she mostly ignores it. And from that point, she's trying to get rid of the body, she's trying to stage the accident, what have you. And of course, as you would expect, Santa Claus, the serial killer that is, shows up at her doorstep with the intent to do harm. Now, there's a lot of cat and mouse. She hides, she locks the doors, he breaks through the window, she tries to fight back. But eventually, at the end of the story, despite her best efforts, the little girl lets Santa Claus into the house, which basically means that they both get killed.
Naughty or nice?
The movie version in Terrifier that kind of does this up again. We see this a little bit with the Terrifier version with the teaser trailer for it, and that's not actually in the movie. Instead, we get a version where Art the Clown comes to this house, and we have a little girl, and she's like, "I heard Santa Claus outside," and the dad's being a dick. The mom's like, "Let's go to sleep. We'll get cookies out. No big deal." And long story short, Art the Clown just kills everybody. And you still have the little girl peeking around corners, and we've seen this in other horror movies of the same genre as well. And it's pretty horrifying. What really stood out to me is the sound design when Art the Clown is just going to town on the dad. It's just got this like meat on meat, this wet sound. It's brutal. And everybody was up in arms when they put the teaser out. They're like, oh my god, is this going to be, violence against children? This is where I draw the line. How dare you? But I gotta be honest, it's pretty tame. You really don't get as much violence on the children that you really think you might get. Like, yes, it's mostly implied. The one kid, the brother, who we don't even really see, gets killed off screen. The little girl gets killed off screen at the very end. The dad gets hacked to shit. And the mom also does too, but you really don't see these children get killed. And even later in the film, where there's a scene at the mall where, we'll get into it, there's really not a lot of violence against the children in the way that you would think. I would argue that there's more violence against the dog in John Wick, which is more visually disturbing than the children being harmed here. Even in All Hallows Eve, we see like the decapitated heads of the children at the very, very end. That, I would argue, has more of a disturbing imagery of children being harmed by Art the Clown. So, as much as I love this scene, it's violent, it's gruesome, the mother gets it pretty bad, it's really not that bad compared to all the hype that was built around it. I mean, it is, maybe I'm just desensitized, but it could have been so much fucking worse. It's funny, if you read all the news going around this movie, they keep talking about how people walked out of the opening scene of this movie. And it made me wonder, because at first I thought maybe the shower scene was the opening of the film, but that's clearly later in the film. It kind of equates to the bedroom scene or the hacksaw scene from the first movie. But I wonder yes, you do have people that cannot stand the amount of gratuitous gore in all three of these movies. Absolutely.
And I witnessed 2 people faint during this movie, and 1 woman split her head open because it's Christmas and children, and people have all this apprehension of how far are we going to go, what are we going to do.
Although you do have to wonder, if you're showing up to part 3, come on guys, you didn't see part 1 and 2? I mean, really? But okay, fine. Like, you should have known what you were in for. But I wonder if, because I do often see children at these movies. Like, I saw children at last night's movie, and I saw children at the double feature for part 1 and 2 when I saw that. I wonder if there is an element of children being freaked out by the idea of, I thought Santa was real, I know this is fake, but this is now destroying the idea of Santa Claus, and I hate this. I want to go home now.
But I wouldn't recommend that children go see the movie, of course. But
I wouldn't.
They're going to.
Because I can see that being more of a thing. That plus, just don't bring your kids to this movie. Like, you should not be bringing an infant. I would say definitely ages 12 and under. You should not be bringing this kid. If you have a really cool 12-year-old, fine. I mean, it's your choice, but you should not have single-digit aged children in this movie expecting it to go well. There's nothing more infuriating to me when I see anyone bring an infant into an R-rated movie, or frankly any movie, but that's just me. But beyond that, I think you have a lot of different references to different horror movies of the genre. Obviously you have Black Christmas, that's the most obvious one. You have Art the Clown in the rocking chair. And if you look at Sienna, she's wearing the same yellow color palette as the main character, yellow and black. The director of Black Christmas also directed, not a horror movie, but just a regular Christmas movie, A Christmas Story. The one with Ralphie and the BB gun?
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I'm pretty sure there's a reference to that, the shot where Art the Clown finds the little girl in the opening scene. I'm pretty sure that's a pull from A Christmas Story when Ralphie gets in trouble or whatever, and the little brother's hiding underneath in the cabinet, and the mother finds him and she opens the door and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And like, "Daddy's gonna kill Ralphie." It's like, Daddy's not gonna kill Ralphie. I'm pretty sure that's a pull from that. Pretty impressive the director of both these films has a good duality between comedy and horror. I think people like Jordan Peele is another good example of that.
Good to see another brother around here.
People who understand comedy, and there's a little bit of comedy in Black Christmas, seem to know horror pretty well. Of course, you have references to Silent Night, Deadly Night.
There's no Santa Claus. Naughty.
I personally feel that given the nature of Art the Clown, that he's more based on the character of Ricky from the sequel as opposed to his brother. Just because Art the Clown is a lot more fun, he's campy, he's doing hijinks.
Garbage day!
Huh? It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
No!
While the original brother is just kind of stunad. He's not really there or functional. He's kind of dull in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, which is way campier. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, mainly because it basically, the first 40 minutes of that movie is a recap of the entire first movie.
She was naughty.
But as a personal viewer, when I walked into this movie, I saw it on Shudder a couple years ago, and I had never seen Part 1. And it looked so bad that I didn't really care. I noticed the clip from Garbage Day, the meme, and I'm like, I could use something campy. And the movie is all camp, much like some of these Terrifier scenes. And if you've never seen Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1, and if you just go into Part 2, I think it's a better movie. I know it's an unpopular opinion, a hot take, but it really condenses all the boring, slow scenes in Part 1 into like a much more layered film. And then when you get to Ricky's scenes, they're just pure gold. They're just pure campy, bloody gore, which is what I feel like Art the Clown is doing in this franchise here. Obviously, the third act is very supernatural. You got homages to all kinds of things like Excalibur, Phantasm, Merlin is a good one. The Poltergeist movies, you kind of feel that with the little girl, Gabby. So yeah, it's a good tribute to movies from the 80s. Definitely Damien Leone's childhood in one little package. But, you know, the whole opening is definitely stripped straight from Tales from the Crypt, which I loved growing up. I would love to do a podcast covering all of the episodes from Tales from the Crypt. Like, I have the box set, and I know you can't watch it anywhere. You can't watch it on streaming. It's not anywhere that's accessible. You have to actually buy it in physical media. So I've often thought about, like, just, you know, creating an entire podcast, whether it be here on the channel or on Spotify or something like that, because, I don't know, it's a great series. I'd love for it to come back. It started on HBO, and then it kind of moved on to, like, I think it was on Fox 5 every Tuesday at 10 p.m.
Tales from the Crypt after the X-Files, Friday starting at 8, 7 Central.
I didn't watch it when it came out originally, but I remember watching all the repeats, and I think, you know, I'm a 90s kid, so I remember all the game shows. Like, they had, like, the one that was very much like Legends of the Hidden Temple, but it was, like, ran by the Crypt Keeper. They should bring it back. I think it's time.
What's the matter with you? You want to keep that 90-pound corpse for the rest of your death? Keep pumping.
I think in a time where we have Art the Clown and Beetlejuice, I think it's a perfect time to bring back Tales from the Crypt. I'd love to talk about it more. If you guys want that, let me know. If there's any Crypt Keeper fans out there who want to watch more videos on that, I would gladly do it. But for the time being, I'm really enjoying talking about Terrifier. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been John here on Birds Reviews. This was a way more casual kind of video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. We have so many new subscribers. I fucking love you guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
This one was almost done sort of Roger Corman, old school style. It was like, here's the poster, here's the release date, now go make the movie. And it's like, I didn't even have the script.
Drop on by the Clown Cafe. The grub is downright gruesome, but your appetites obey. 'Cause food's a little funny. Food's a little funny. Food's a little